Welcome, listeners, to another episode on Rising Above Shadows of Abuse, RASA. I'm your host, Grace Ovba. Today I'll be exploring various newsreels relating to abuse. The next newsreel is from Sky News, dated 8th of January 2025 by Daniel Dunford. Recent debates over grooming gangs have been marked by accusations of lies and disinformation. This is what the data actually tells us about the victims and perpetrators of child sexual abuse. Any data ultimately relies on victims or survivors reporting what's happened to them to relevant authorities, and then for those authorities to not only take these reports seriously but also record them correctly. For many reasons: stigma, mistrust in authorities, the influence of a perpetrator, we know victims often don't report crimes or wait several years to do so. So any recent snapshot is always going to be incomplete. On top of this, not all authorities record the same data about perpetrators and victims, such as the relationship between them or their ethnicity. Caveats aside, the best and most thorough recent reports come from Vulnerability Knowledge and Practice Programme, VKPP, covering all related crimes, recorded in 2022, and its sister organization, the Hydrant Programme, which reported specifically on group-based child sexual abuse that happened in 2023. Both organizations are associated with the National Police Chiefs Council, and their reports collate and analyze data recorded by every police force in England and Wales. The ethnicity of offenders has got lots of attention recently, thanks to historical examples of predominantly Pakistani grooming gangs brought back into the spotlight by the likes of Elon Musk and Robert Jenrick. In terms of group-based offenses, 85% of suspects are white, while 7% are Asian and 5% are black. According to the 2021 census, 82% of the England and Wales population is white, compared with 9% Asian and 4% black and 2% mixed or other. The ethnicity of perpetrators and victims was only recorded in 29% of cases, and we also know many cases are not recorded at all. So it's difficult to be too conclusive about over and under representation, but there is enough evidence to rule out the idea that this is a problem unique to any one ethnic group. Researchers believe underreporting is more severe among victims who are boys, come from minority communities or migrant groups, and those with disabilities. As for the victims, children in the mixed and other ethnic group are the most overrepresented when it comes to group-based child sexual abuse. 10% of victims come from this group, compared with 5% from the wider population. In 2023, 85% of group-based child sexual abuse victims were white, slightly higher than the population average, while 3% of victims were Asian and 4% were black. The abuse carried out by grooming gangs is categorized as group-based, meaning two or more perpetrators were involved in the same crime. Less than 5% of total recorded child sexual abuse crimes were categorized as group-based in 2022 or 2023. In 2023, there were 4,228 such crimes recorded. About 3/4 of group-based crimes involved two perpetrators. About 2/3 of cases were related to contact abuse, for example, rape, sexual assault, and sexual activity involving a child. The remainder were online abuse, mostly carried out by perpetrators who were strangers to the victim. Children aged 10 to 17 accounted for 48% of group-based abuse suspects, while adult perpetrators made up for 1 in 10 suspects of group-based child abuse were aged under 10. The most widespread form of child sexual abuse, and also the form researchers believe is most likely to go underreported, takes place in a family environment. That doesn't necessarily mean abuse by family members or at home, but in any relationship or setting typically mediated by family members. The VKPP says the average time to report such abuse is 17 years. These examples aren't necessarily distinct from group-based offenses or child-on-child offenses. Abuse by a friend, cousin, or sibling make up 4 in 10 such offenses, and many of these will be committed by people who also aged under 18. Parents, including step or foster parents, are responsible for 3 in 10 offenses, while familiar connections, including family friends, take up almost 2 in 10 perpetrators. Looking at all child sexual abuse offenses, including those that don't take place in a familiar setting, 4 in 5 victims knew their abuser, while 1 in 5 incidents were committed by a stranger. Child-on-child abuse. More than half, 52% of reports of child sexual abuse involve children offending against other children. The most common age for either a perpetrator or victim is 14 years old. Some of these examples will involve sexual activity or the consensual sharing of indecent images between people of the same age with no indication of coercion. Given the age of consent for sexual activity in the UK is 16 years, and it is illegal to share indecent images or videos of under 18s, doing this is against the law, but is typically viewed as a less serious offense than others. Police take a common sense approach to these types of crimes, balancing individual circumstances with the need to safeguard children. But the most common offenses committed by children on children are not in this category. Sexual assault on a female accounts for 15% of child-on-child sexual abuse, while rape of a female under 16 accounts for 12%, about 1 in 8. Third most common offense is taking, making, and sharing indecent images. There is a massive gender divide among perpetrators of child sexual abuse. 2% of perpetrators are men, almost 5 times the amount of women. The difference is even more stark. Contact child sexual abuse offenses, including rapes, sexual assault, and sexual activity involving a child. 9 in 10 perpetrators are men. When it comes to offenses related to indecent images of children, the divide is much closer. 77% of perpetrators are women, 53% are men. So the reason for this is because it's an offense to create and send an indecent image of yourself if you are below the age of 18. The victims are also overwhelmingly female, accounting for 79% of overall victims, 78% of group-based victims, and 68% of online victims. In 2022, there were almost 107,000 crimes recorded by police in England and Wales, up from less than 100,000 in 2021 and just 20,000 in 2013. In 2023, it rose to 115,489. And is expected to have risen again in 2024. Much of the rise in recorded crimes is thanks to better recording and reporting processes from the police, rather than more crimes taking place, although it's difficult to tell exactly where the balance lies. 2022, almost a third of total crimes were online, with 7% related to sharing of indecent images and 5% related to grooming. Almost 3/4 of the offenses were contact, including more than 20,000 rapes, 27,000 sexual assault, and 20,000 cases of sexual activity involving a child. Cases of online child sexual abuse and exploitation have been increasing year on year, and there are examples of perpetrators using AI and deepfake technology to create indecent images of children. The National Crime Agency, in a separate report to the 2 we've mostly reported from above, estimated that up to 830,000 adults in the UK, equivalent to 1.6% of the adult population, or 1 in every 62 people, pose some degree of sexual risk to children. The Data and Forensics team is a multi-skilled unit dedicated to providing transparent journalism. Wow. Listeners and viewers, what do you think about this data? The key thing here is to safeguard our children from online abuse and gang grooming or grooming gangs. We should all parent our children, or what would I say? Listeners, viewers, leave your comments as relates to this news reel. Thank you. Leave your comments via email address risingaboveshadowsofabuse@gmail.com.